What constitutes a HIPAA breach when it comes to patient email? Is a waiver okay to email them? Should it always be encrypted? And can you use just a last name in an email without violating HIPAA?
Okay, that is a long one, and it's got a lot of pieces to it. So I will say, first off, anytime you send information unencrypted, is the potential for a breach. You have to think of all the different places that email goes and where it could be intercepted at any point along the way. That's why we strongly recommend that you use an encryption program that requires authentication, which means the patient has to log in. Is a waiver okay? Yes, it's okay to email waivers that don't have any PHI or any sort of identifiers on them, just a form, but I would strongly recommend that you tell them not to email it back to you. Again, you need to give them a way to send it back to you in an encrypted format. It's also important to know that you cannot ask a client or patient to waive their rights when it comes to HIPAA, when it comes to releasing that information. You can't say the only way I'll email you if you sign away. You basically sign off and say it's okay for you to send me things unencrypted. They have to willingly ask for that, so you can't force that upon your patients. If a patient does ask you to send things, to them unencrypted, you can have them sign a waiver on that, and you are able to do that. I recommend that you don't go that route because it becomes really hard to keep track of who you're supposed to send encrypted information to versus unencrypted information. I would say in those cases, I would just say to the person, our policy is to send things as encrypted emails, and I'm sorry, but you're going to have to log in order to read this information. This is for your safety and for our safety as a provider. And the last part of this question is, can you use just the last name in an email without violating HIPAA? No, you cannot. An identifier, so anytime you send an email that has any sort of PHI, the email address itself becomes an identifier. Email addresses, IP addresses, last names, those are 3 identifiers that you would have in that email that would be in the tags. Anybody who intercepted that email, that would be considered a breach of that information. So that is not a good way to send information. Again, use a encrypted portal. We've got a couple on our website at totalhipaa.com that you guys can look at, and I think I gave some to you guys over there, Olive, which was like Virtru is a great one and quite affordable. If you use our name, you get a discount. There was, there's Citrix has got with their file sharing program. They've got an email that's great. Zixmail is sort of the industry standard for smaller practices. It's not probably a good choice because you have to go through a reseller. If you're under, I think, 100, they won't even touch you. So you have to go through a reseller to get that information. It can be a little pricey. And LuxSci is another one that's really nice, and they do a really nice. They also have portals that you can set up on your website to take information that will be HIPAA compliant. So there's a lot of options out there, and I would highly recommend that you go that route.